Hi everyone, my name is Lydia Dominguez and I am so excited for everyone to join me today for our community meeting. I have a few guests that I'm going to introduce soon, but I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that this meeting is being recorded and that the Google Meet does have live caption capabilities if anyone needs that translation. And when we get into our questions for our guests that have joined, all you have to do is raise your hand and then we will call on you, and there might be a little bit delay, but we're going to release the locks on the Google Meet and you will be able to unmic and unmute yourself. And so yeah, we will get started. So we have 3 guests and I'm really excited about our guests today. We have Hayden Brown from our Shadow Ridge High School. We have Sierra Millard from Northwest CTA. And we have Peyton Warren from Indian Springs. Hi, everyone. So you guys are able to unmic as we go. We're all kind of learning this. This is my first time on the online community engagement meeting. So there's also a learning curve for me, but I'm excited to have you guys here today. And I just want to go around the room really quick. And if you guys can just introduce yourselves and just tell us about what it's like in your school and what activities you're part of. Whoever wants to go first.
Hi, I'm Sierra. I'm again from NWCTA. I am in the culinary program at my school, and I'm involved in my program CTSO, Skills USA Culinary, which I'm president of, as well as archery, which I'm secretary of.
Nice, awesome. And what grade are you in?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior, nice. Awesome, thanks for joining us, Sierra.
Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Peyton Bourne. I am a senior at Indian Springs High School, and currently I am in the Student Council and the National Honor Society, as well as a handful of sports.
Awesome. And Peyton, I know you're also part of our Superintendent Advisory Committee for our students, so thank you for participating in that. And Peyton, you're a senior, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
It's an honor and a delight to be here.
Hi everyone, I'm Hayden Brown. I'm a senior at Shadow Ridge High School. I am a 4-year student council member. I'm also the senior class historian, and I am on varsity cheer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us today. And I know it feels really nerve-wracking too. So feel free if you want to jump in, if you feel like there's something you can contribute. I definitely would love for you to add into the conversation. So first I want to go around and I want to hear if you could talk to your freshman self, what would you say about, just kind of what advice would you give your freshman self?
For me, I would probably sort of make my freshman self more aware of the opportunity potential I have, especially in my program area, because there's a lot of opportunities that I'm in now that I wish I engaged more with my freshman year.
Nice, thank you. Feel free to jump in.
Some of the most important things that I would tell my younger self is grades are really important, but don't stress yourself over them too bad. And try to take every opportunity that comes along. Anything from a sport to a club, maybe a field trip, or hey, come to this event. The experiences you make in high school, they'll only come once, and there's so much you can learn from them. The interactions with everyone. I was fortunate to pick up a couple opportunities that I was kind of scared of at first, and I grew my public speaking skills, and now I'm here, and it's really amazing to see what I've become over the last 4 years because I chose those kind of hard decisions. It was like a little bit scary, but just it'll work out in the end.
I love that. It'll work out in the end. Go ahead, Hayden.
Yes, I totally agree with them. If I can tell freshman year Hayden, I would tell her that you only live high school once. So really just put yourself out there and live life to the fullest. That's really it. As I mentioned, I do cheer, and if I can go back and tell my freshman self to try out, I totally would. So take every opportunity that you're given or you'll regret it.
I love that. Give it your all. Nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with some questions here, but if the people in the audience that have joined us want to jump in and have a question, we can go ahead and do that. But first I'm going to take some questions from the list that I was received that people submitted early. So if anyone that has joined us wants to jump in, go ahead and raise your hand and we can start going through there. Okay, so I have a few questions, but one that I wanted to highlight that I thought was very important to, that I thought was kind of important. So can trustees kindly discuss more information about special needs classrooms, hopefully the classes that help parents and students in the transition from middle to high school? And that feeder alignment is super important. And one of the things that brings me to is mentioning about our special needs library that the Las Vegas PBS has. And, oh, excuse me, we have a lot of paper over here. And I think this library is so amazing. If anyone's been there, please go ahead. And if you know anyone that is special needs and needs that space of that library, this is a great place to go. They have so much games and materials that can be rented out. And so, let's see, they have for blind, vision impaired, deaf, hearing impaired, lots of instructional resources, lots of language development resources, and they're constantly bringing out new items, behavioral management, and also autism spectrum. And so I just want to make sure we give a shout out to that library out there in the Vegas PBS. And so back to the question, it says, I want to make sure that we talk about the first feeder alignment. So even with our students that are here, you all went to our middle schools, your feeder alignment into our high schools, and then we have our one CTA school. But it's very important when we transition our special needs kids into the areas that they need that. So the transition IEPs are very important. And so it really is helpful when parents are very involved in that transition, and it helps them with that connection between those feeder alignments, because sometimes things get dropped off and parents, and even our students know that, if you're not paying attention to things will drop off. So I do want to make sure that they know that there is already a transition team for those IEPs, and they can go ahead and start redetermining or redirecting or revisioning that IEP when they transition. So I want to see, do we have anyone that's raised their hand yet? Okay, don't be shy if there's anyone that wants to raise their hand, because I want to make sure that we have those questions in. So one of the things, I thought this was an interesting question and for our students to ask, how will we keep parents and guardians accountable for children who are constantly interrupting classrooms or to promote the vulgar or aggressive speech? And I know you guys, sometimes there might be, maybe there's a student that just becomes aggressive in class, or just becomes, interrupts class. How do you think, how do you think we manage that? Because I know we manage that here through our code of conduct, but I'm sure you've seen examples of your teachers doing something about it. I'll go ahead and if you guys want to jump in, I don't want to force y'all, but I know sometimes there might be maybe a student that start acting a little bit, I don't know, inappropriate or whatever. And sometimes that might take over in the classroom and oh, go ahead, Syria.
It wasn't necessarily in class, but in one of the clubs I was a part of, that we did have a student who was aggressive at times and he interrupted a lot. And how my advisor sort of handled that was working with the family to sort of figure it out. It was archery, so we do deal with weapons. So he was on the verge of getting kicked out because we do deal with weapons, but my coach, she worked with the family in order to sort of mitigate that, and the student's guardian even came in a few times to make sure that everything would go okay, in order to sort of make sure he could still have that community and the sort of extracurricular outlet. while still maintaining team integrity.
That's so great. And it's a, you know, even in the culinary, you have to have respectful behavior because you're around knives and you're around a lot of, utensils, and even archery is like, that's a really big responsibility. So we have to be respectful with each other's spaces and the way we behave. And so I'm so glad to hear that, sometimes kids need to be redirected, and I'm glad that the teacher worked with the parents to redirect that student and not necessarily kick that student out and like say, oh, you're not allowed to be here, but redirect. And I know that's hard sometimes, when you're the student that's like, I'm behaving, but maybe there's another student having behavioral problems. And so I'm really glad to hear that teacher, like real world example, the teacher decided to like work with the student. So that's awesome. And so if not everybody has to answer, don't feel like you all have to, we're gonna go all the way around. You jump in as you feel like is appropriate. How's that, if you feel like it? This is a good one. I feel like this is just the topic of the century right now. Why is it okay for instructors to utilize and promote the use of artificial intelligence as a shortcut for students who are struggling with typing, writing, or problem solving? That one's a big one. So I know AI is like very important and like just a hot topic. And so the question is, why is it okay for instructors to utilize and promote artificial intelligence? Go ahead.
For me, I have the few teachers I do have that do use AI, sort of use it in a way, and they tell us to use it too. In one of my business classes last year, my teacher, she had us use it in order to sort of give us prospects on what our imaginary business would give us. And she sort of taught us how to use it appropriately for that scene, not necessarily do all the work for us, which ended up working out for the class because we only have limited time and limited information as well on the prospects that we were discussing in class. I do feel that for like grading wise, that depending on the subject, that maybe teachers, like essays, they do take a while to read and interpret. But I also feel that the student creativity can definitely be overlooked by AI. So I don't know if the integrity of the work will be graded sufficiently.
That is a very good, valid point. Go ahead, Peyton.
So, long story short, I was very against the usage of AI on anything school related for a very long time, until recently when my professor, Dr. Dunkelberger, introduced me to a book called Teaching with AI. And he gave me some pointers and lessons from that book, and it really opened my eyes to how helpful it can be, especially in larger schools. I've noticed a couple instances where there was subjects myself or other students were struggling to understand, and they were able to use AI to explain it in a way that they could understand, and even generate visual descriptors and auditorial descriptors as well to try and help them understand as best as possible. And for me, I've personally struggled a bit with the English language arts, and it helps me organize and set clear goals and deadlines so that I can get work done on time, but also get my creativity put into it in a contained manner. So I'm kind of excited, but also a little scared to see where it goes.
Now you're a believer.
It's really useful tool for teachers when used correctly, and for students as well.
I love that. That's awesome, because I know we all kind of evolved into, we don't want to move into this to now we want to use the tool that we have. So please, Hayden, jump in.
I know at least at Shadow Ridge High School, my teachers in my school are very against AI, and I feel like I'm coming from a different perspective because I can really see the benefits on working on our own and working with the help of our teachers instead of using AI like programs or platforms.
I agree. There's a lot of different viewpoints on AI, and it's if you think about it, we have kind of, even the quizzes, when you're taking a quiz on Canvas and all these different systems, that's kind of AI already. And so we're kind of already using it. We're just not aware that it was AI. So there's a lot of things that we're moving into. And I think as long as we're not supplementing, you know, an actual teacher or just that real human voice, and even students' voices too. Like if students use ChatGPT too much, then it's like, are you even writing this? You know, or are you even learning this? So that's cool. I love AI, but I'm kind of like Peyton. I was like, I'm not on board with this, but I'm moving in. Like I'm sold now. Okay, so this is a cool question. And I think this is like, it's a tough question, but I think it's fair because, you know, a lot of people think that's what we're doing. And it's kind of frustrating that, you know, even in my position, I've noticed that we are working so hard to make sure that we are having the right curriculums for students. And I know this topic has also come up in the Superintendent Student Advisory Board. And the question is, why are we lowering the bar for our students to pass? Will this not affect our community in the very near future? Thank you. And yeah, that's a valid concern. I mean, we all have those concerns, even as when I was running around as a candidate and now as a trustee, it's like those concerns are valid. But when we look and see what we're doing in the classroom, I can honestly say I know that we're doing so much to help these students. And so how do you guys feel? Are we, do you feel like the bar is being lowered for you? Do you feel like there is, do you feel like there's hope for the future? You are our future. You're the future of our community. Go ahead, Sierra. Jump in.
As for the bar being lowered, for me personally, I don't feel like it has been. I feel like I've been given a lot of opportunities in my school to take accelerated courses like AP and dual enrollment and even other CTE courses. So I don't believe the bar is being lowered there. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but so I don't think it's necessarily the schooling's fault, maybe more so I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, it's a lot. And you're still junior, so you still have a whole nother year. So, you know, it's but yeah, it's your viewpoint. Like you're being challenged a lot in CTA schools. So it's like there's a lot of opportunities and things that come up. And it might necessarily be the same for I'll say Shadow Ridge and Indian Springs. And so, you know, that's the perspective that I'm trying to give here is that like we're all all three of you are from very different parts of my district. And so I love that you guys can all give that different little piece of like, you know, are we being challenged? What are the opportunities like? Do you have to go run and chase them? So yeah, go ahead. I think somebody else had their hand up, but I didn't see. Go ahead, Peyton.
I'm not entirely certain if the bar has moved. I would say from my perspective as an honors or AP student, it has, but I am not entirely certain for those in the regular classes. I can't say it's lowered, but I have noticed at my school personally, there has been an increase in teachers recommending students for higher level classes, which is really nice to see, because I feel like there was a lot of kids, especially in my class, who weren't using their full potential and were just coasting by in remedial courses. So I really hope that as a district as a whole, we can move in a positive direction where the kids are not only being moved and the bar is being raised, but they want to move with that bar.
Yeah, that's awesome. I shared this story on the dais. I recalled my son was dragged out of his math class just because he had to go be tested, and he was like he was just excelling so much, and so they ended up moving him classes, and not because I had pushed for it, because they just saw he had the potential to do that. So I appreciated those counselors. Oh, go ahead, Hayden. Did you want to talk?
Okay, so from my perspective, I don't really see the bar lowering. My sophomore year, I took no honors, no AP classes, but my teachers really saw the potential and pushed me to take these higher level classes. So I don't know how much it is for the regular classes, just as like Peyton said, I totally agree with what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's great to hear that there's a lot of our teachers and staff and counselors that are pushing students and seeing the potential, and even just kind of giving that opportunity to say, hey, you should come to this to get an advanced degree or to get those AP courses. So I'm glad to hear that. That's what we've been working so hard for. And then let's keep trucking here. Let's see, I'm going to go, oh, okay. This one may be, hopefully it's not too aggressive of a question. Here we go. It is a hot topic. The question is, why in the world are middle school students starting at 7 a.m. next year? Please say not true, thanks. Please no, let them start at 8 at least. How do we feel about the time change? Go ahead.
I personally don't like the time change. I think it really affects schedules. I know they said it was because high school students need more sleep in order to function properly, but it really affects. I have a middle school little sister, and now she's going to be getting up before me, so there's no way I could pick her up. So she's going to have to. Luckily, she has the bus is close enough to her dad's house, but I'm going to have to pick her up after school, so that affects my schedule. Not to mention extracurriculars, which will be ending way later. I have friends this year that get home around maybe 6, and with the time change, that pushes it back, I want to say, an hour or so. So I'll be getting around like 7:30. So that really affects our home lives as well.
Got it. Thank you. Go ahead, Peyton. You're out in Indian Springs. How's the time change for you?
It hasn't been 100% decided yet because we are a K through 12 school. It would make the most sense if we all started at the same time, just because of how close knit we are. But with standard schools that are split between grade completely, middle, high school, I feel like that would be really challenging for families with students in multiple grade levels. Building on what Sierra said, I think it's kind of not necessarily unfair, but definitely builds a challenge in terms of scheduling and time management, especially for parents or older students who have to care for their younger siblings. And also, I feel it's kind of not my place to speak for the middle school time change because I am technically not affected by that. So I would really like to hear from parents of middle schoolers as well as middle schoolers themselves how they feel about that.
Thank you, Peyton. And Hayden, we're going to go ahead and let you go. And then I do see you, Melvin. And when Hayden is done, we'll go ahead and let you in.
Okay, so as a senior, it's not affecting me as much as you two. However, though, my sisters are incoming freshmen and they do school at Leeds STEM Academy, and they also do early bird for student council. So they start that at 7 instead of starting at 8:20 as the regular students do. However, though, I've really seen it benefit them going to school early and getting out later, and I've seen their education improve because of this change. So I think they're really going to enjoy high school and enjoy the time change.
Yeah, and I think bottom line is we can't keep everybody happy. Everybody has such different schedules, and this is an enormous district. And I think the number was something like 1,400 routes a day. So that is a lot. And we have the biggest bus transportation in the nation as far as school districts. So that is a cool thing to have. So we'll go ahead and let Melvin in if they still have their hands up, and we'll go ahead and let you unmute. And then when you're ready, go ahead and ask your question. Hi, Melvin, you are with us. Go ahead and ask your question. You are able to unmute yourself. If you could unmute the mic, we see you, but we cannot hear you. Perfect.
Sorry. So I am Melvin's daughter, Samara, and I do have a problem with the time thingy, even though I'm a third grader, because thinking about it, I kind of feel like it might not be very cute because first you would have to study last night, and then you'd have to sleep kind of late. And then you wake up early, getting some, and that might be bad for you in form of health.
Well, thank you for joining us, Melvin. I'm so excited you joined us. This is a super hot topic, and I appreciate your viewpoints. it really is, you know what I appreciate too about our leadership here, the superintendent, if things aren't working out, if maybe there's a bus route or a time that they're so willing to make changes and to not be so solid on the time. So like if they need to shift something 15 minutes or even 30 minutes, they're willing to do that. So to do what's best for kids. So I really love the leadership viewpoint, and we're going to see how it works out when it starts. So I know everybody's not happy, but we are trying to make everybody happy, and moving 280,000 kids is a lot. So doing those routes it's a big deal. So, but thanks for joining us. Do you have let's see, I know we have another person, but if you want to, do you want to quickly say what school year? You said you're in 3rd grade?
He's in Karen Hayes Elementary School.
Awesome.
And also, you know that vulgar thing we were talking about earlier?
Oh,
so many boys in my class, which is Miss Cunningham's class, like they keep talking about gross stuff, like butts and everything gross and stuff.
yeah.
And it's kind of getting up on my nerves because my parents have never been such a fan of that gross stuff.
Yeah.
And
I would agree. It's very, it's a disruptive to our classroom, and maybe there's some topics that we don't discuss, but I always, right now you're just doing more than your classmates could ever do. But I'm thinking like you can go to your teacher and say, hey, these are things that are not appropriate for our class, or I don't like what is being said. And so I definitely encourage you to talk to your teacher and talk to your parents to make sure that is being relayed to your teacher, because those topics just aren't appropriate. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
And I'm gonna go ahead and let Amanda Knowles in and go ahead and ask her question. There will be a little delay, but go ahead and when you're unlocked, go ahead and unmute yourself. Amanda Knowles.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm a parent of a current middle schooler and 2 elementary schoolers. And like these kids that you have on today, I was raised in CCSD, and so one of the like high achievers and doing all the things, and so I see what they're all saying about like, oh, I don't see the bar being lowered for us. But I'm also a pediatric physician assistant, and so I see this full spectrum of kids attending CCSD, and I see the bar lowering stuff that whatever parent sent that question in was talking about. But as far as the changing of the times goes, since that's the topic we're on,
it's on you. Whatever topic you want to discuss.
You're good. We can stay on topic, but just wanted to kind of reinforce that like the research medically really does support the later times for the high schoolers. Not quite sure why the middle schoolers ended up with the short end of the stick there. That the elementary school kids like circadian rhythms, the way that their body works, definitely would benefit from being the first ones out. But I think it was Sierra that was saying like the older kids catching the younger kids at home to be able to pick them up from the buses definitely provides a strain. But I think as the community itself adjusts, I mean, any change is going to be rough. Like you said, you can't keep everybody happy, but the data sure supports at least having those high schoolers start later, and provides, like I said, I see the big spectrum. And one of the number one things that I see in the clinic in the teenagers is, psychiatric stuff, depression, anxiety, those kinds of things, headaches, abdominal pain, all this different stuff that really a lot of times just comes back to having a really crappy sleep schedule, because we're asking these teenagers to fight their natural body rhythms of naturally you want to go to bed later and wake up a little bit later. And then we're saying, hey, just kidding, come to school at 7 a.m. or whatever and fight your body, even though you've been up until who knows how late. My number one piece of advice is always to charge your phone in a separate room and stop using phones 1 hour before bed. But
that is a good advice to keep. I am not a good one to do that. That is good advice. It's
okay. Your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. These teenagers aren't yet, so it's okay. You get a little bit of a pass.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Let's break that down. I will try to be quick so we can give other people more time. But the bus situation, it is a really big thing, and I think the studies have shown, and I think just we as I'm not in education, but I have 2 teenagers. I remember what it's like to be a teenager, and even our education leaders have done. There's so much research to show that they need more sleep. They are not very functional that early in the morning, and so that shift I think is going to be really good for them education wise, and just also it's going to help out with, because it shows middle schoolers for some reason are able to get up that early. I don't know what it is with that pre-teenage.
The younger versions, the 6, 7-year-olds probably, or the 6th, 7th graders probably, but those 8th graders, like they're basically teenagers, and they're going to struggle a little bit, but it's okay. They'll get the respite once they get to high school.
Yeah, and then they'll get some more sleep when they get to high school. So it's great, and it's but it is a struggle, because this is such a large community, and we are doing a really big shift on everyone. And we really appreciate all of our parents and students and staff really just like embracing it and saying, okay, it might not be what we would like, and it might not be what we want, but we're all going to work together. Like Sierra was talking about picking up her sister and just kind of changing your schedule to make those accommodations, and because we're all a community and we're all just trying to do the best for that. And then the second topic you talked about, Amanda, was about the I think it was for the special education, you talked about you were talking about the standards. You were talking about the lowering of
the standards being lowered. The minimum, the 50% F thing just still boggles my mind. Adults don't get credit for doing no work, 50% credit for doing no work. So I don't know where we're going there, but
yeah, no, it's there's a lot of changes that have come, and they're coming. I know there's a lot of pilot work that has come, and so there's a lot more changes that are coming to our grading structures, and because that structure just didn't work, and so we all saw it, we all knew it. That was probably the number one reason why I decided to run and be a trustee, was I just saw it wasn't working. So I'm really glad we have a great team that's coming out, and they're working really hard to change those structures. So
I'm glad to hear it.
And the concern is, I'm so I feel the weight of like the community wants these schools to succeed so much, and that's all we're asking is, like, as a community, let's pull together, let's support these schools and support our kids. So that's awesome. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us. You have how many you said you had 2 students?
I have 3, and then I've got a 4th one that will be coming into the preschool hopefully next year. So 4 total.
Awesome. Yay. Awesome.
A lot of investment.
Preschool enrollments. And what are the grades of your other 3?
6th, 3rd, and 1st.
3rd and 1st. Okay. So make sure you look out for those, CTA. We do have, I'll just plug it in while we're at it. We have a school choice fair coming up. So please make sure to join that. That is Saturday, the 28th. It's from 9 a.m. to 12 at Silverado High School. And that is, even just if you want to look at it early, it's great to look at and start going to those fairs early to see what schools are out there and what CCSD can provide. So thank you so much, Amanda.
Yeah, they're both in middle schools, so not middle schools, magnet schools. So I'll plug that's the way that I feel like they're able to get an education that is fitting for them, and for these higher achievers that you've got on here, that's the kind of direction that my kids are heading as well. Those magnet schools really fit a big need in the community for the parents that do want to be involved, and those are the schools is kind of where it's at. So definitely.
Yeah, I think even for the areas, just for example, since we have Hayden and Peyton here, they are not in CTE schools, so or magnet schools. And so I think even for kids that are high achievers can still get the most out of those schools and do so much. So thank you, Amanda.
Of course.
And then I think do we have more people on? I see another, we got Michael Custer. We're gonna go ahead and let you in, Michael Custer. And then you can go ahead and unmute your mic. And Sierra, I see you wanted to add to something. Go ahead and, Hayden, I'm sorry. I see you too, Hayden. Go ahead. you two both go ahead and jump in as Michael Custer jumps in.
Okay. I wanted to touch on the sort of elementary and middle schoolers and the bar being lowered. As I said, I've had a little sister, and my mom has mentioned a few times on how teachers kind of keep pushing the kids along, even though they might not meet up to standard, if that makes sense, especially coming out of COVID, I realized. And so I know that kids other than my little sister as well have been struggling with even the basics like of reading and mathematics as well. So
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's, as long as we identify it and then we do something about it, because not letting it go on too long is not the way we want to do that. So I'm so glad you guys are seeing that. And Michael Custer, I have you on. Thank you for muting. We're going to let Hayden go first, and then we'll let you come on in and ask your question. Hayden, we can't hear you.
Okay, I would just like to piggyback off of what Amanda said in support of the time changes. So I'm pretty sure this is the same for most CCSD schools, but as a senior, I'm able to pick and choose my schedule of what times I want to have my classes at. And so this year I chose to have a schedule at 8:20 instead of this regular 7 a.m. And honestly, I have really seen the benefits like in myself in having this time changed. And so I hope we could see it for others too. I feel like I have achieved more academically, gotten more sleep, done better at practice, and yeah, I'm in support of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hayden. Go ahead, Michael Custer, you are in if you would like to mute, and you are welcome to ask any question. Michael Custer, the floor is yours if you would like to unmute your mic. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon. Thanks again for hosting this forum. This is great to be able to reach out directly to yourself and the others. As it goes to the time change thing, if I understand it correctly, there was some sort of survey that was sent out district-wide to address this. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they had,
But
I don't have the numbers.
apparently the participation rate was quite low. So I've obviously heard a lot more feedback post results of this than I ever saw from anything regarding the survey for it. So I'm just pushing that out as feedback for yourself to take for future kind of situations like this, because I get where everybody's coming from. Everything is always, it's never exactly a black and white issue about these kind of things, but I really don't think that everybody who did or did not answer the survey or the decisions that were made are really thinking about the second and third level effects of this, especially when it comes to the high schoolers, because they're the ones who tend to have the part-time jobs after school. So now they're losing an hour and a half where they could potentially make a little bit of side money, where it's affecting the scholastic sports because of the scheduling for the fields, because the day runs longer. It's conflicting with the participation for marching bands. It conflicts with now how elementary, middle schools, and other high schools have to do their drop-offs and pickups because everybody's now on a different time. And so I guess my question is, I've heard from my child's high school that they put in a waiver for I believe it was half an hour, but they're willing to even just to get 15 minutes to try and alleviate the congestion because of the other schools that are close by. When will those waivers be decided? When are they going to find out? Thank you for the time.
No, thank you for the question. I think it's, so this is what it's all about, is being able to give this open forum to give you access to a trustee, to this, to be able to ask these really hard questions. And I really appreciate that. I think man, I don't want to give an incorrect number, but this was the really the largest participation we've had with our surveys. And so I know I, as a parent, I don't know if you're the students I have here, if they submitted the survey for the time change, but I know I did as a parent. And I noticed there was some times maybe that I didn't select that also were like, were the ones that were chosen. And so I know that was also a heated topic. You know, and it's hard, like I've said before, is that this is such a large movement that we've shifted onto the community, and we're not going to get it perfect. Not everybody's going to be happy with the decision, but and then but the research shows that high schoolers cannot function that early, and so I think it's great that we can all, and I one of the biggest things that I think is great is that we have a leadership team that is willing to adjust if needed. So whether it's adjusting 15 minutes or 30 minutes, I think it's great that we're all looking at it not just cookie cutter, but as a whole, to saying what is right for this community that's different from this community. And just kind of like, is what Indian Springs is good for Indian Springs might not be good for Shadow Ridge and might not be good for Northwest CTA. So I think it's great to have that insight, to feel like we're looking at everything. As far as the sports, from my understanding, we were because those were the hot topics that we as trustees had asked too, was what about sports? And it came back that it was because of the heat, that it's actually better that they're being done in the morning, now that they have time to be done in the morning instead of the afternoon. So now, instead of having practice in the afternoon in the highest heat times, now those can shift to the morning time. And so again, the situations are perfect. Mornings are different than everybody, but I think that it's great that we can still do that and shift around. It is going to be a big ask for our community, but I think that as a team, we can all work together in that. Thank you, Michael, for coming in, and I think this is what it's all about. And I just want to remind everybody that the meeting is being recorded, and that we have, if needed, if anyone likes live captions, we have those capabilities available on the Google Meet. So if you'd like the captions, and then just a reminder that that you can ask any question. We don't have to stay on the topic of school times. We have a lot going on in this district, and so we can ask any topic, any questions. And then the next thing is I'll go ahead and name the next speaker here. I think we have Hayden. Go ahead and jump in, Hayden.
I would just like to say something. I don't know how other schools work, but I know at Shadow you are given the opportunity to have your school schedule align with your work schedule, and if you get permission from your counselor and like a signed paper from your job, you're able to combine those two to make sure you're able to work and do school at the same time. And I think I was going to say something else.
Yeah, no, thank you for reminding me of that. My son did the same. But yeah, I think it's easier as a senior when you start moving things around like that. And we'll go ahead and include, I see there's another student. We have Elizabeth Honeycutt, and we'll go ahead and let you have the floor. You can turn off your mic and you can ask any topic.
Hi. I have a question about SOTs. I'm a parent on our school on our SOT committee, and when it came time for the budget, we had a lot of budget cuts, and almost $1 million was missing from the budget. And so the principal had prepared a budget, but without the Nevada state statute requires that the SOT be able to assist and advise in the creation of the budget, as well as the voting yes or no. But when the meeting came, the decisions had already been made and the teachers had already been surplused. And the principal shared that we would not have the ability to ask for any changes, and the only thing we could do is vote yes or no. But then he shared, but my boss is going to support me, and it just goes back to the district. So it felt very, very much non-collaborative. And in the end, there was a presentation that was given, but the numbers of the budget and the presentation, there were inconsistencies. And the presentation said that performing art was being cut, but then we found out that visual art was being completely cut, and the concerns that we made weren't addressed. The fact that the numbers didn't match wasn't addressed, and I'm really concerned that the SOT process, which was that's what kept the district together, is saying, well, let's give power to parents, students, and and principal so that there's more local control. But I'm really concerned, this principal stated that this is how principals across the district do it, that they surplus the teachers well before the budget meeting, and that they are not required to let you see the actual budget. And I'm really concerned as if this is the process where we as a community make sure that the school district is really utilizing their money well. It was very not utilizing of the parents or the students' perspective. Our student hasn't been invited to any of the meetings for the entire year. We don't have a non-licensed. So many problems with this SOT being sidelined at our school, and I'd like to ask you, how can we give parents a voice in the creation of a budget during very understandable issues like budget cuts, and the time frame of budget turnaround is like 2.5 weeks. And so I understand there's a lot of constraints, but I really wanted to have a voice in having ideas of how to keep art, how to not, we lost 3 campus security monitors, 2 counselors, we lost a math teacher, a science teacher, we lost the entire art program. And my heart is sick about it. So thank you. I appreciate that, your help.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for coming in. First, I want to say thank you for being just joining the SOT and feeling like you're going to dig in and do something. I think that's super awesome. Second, I wanted to ask, so when you come to the meetings, when you talk to the principal, what is the principal saying? What feedback are you getting from the principal?
I shared before the meeting, because this is my second year, and the first year that I was on, we only had like 30 minutes to look over the budget before we were asked to vote. And I shared that I didn't feel like I had enough time to go over it. And so this year, I asked for the budget ahead of time, and I was able to get it about an hour ahead of time. But the principal said, I don't have to share the budget with you. You don't have to see that. When I asked why the schedule had changed from a block period to a different period, I was told parents don't get a say. The SOT does not get a say in the master schedule, even though the change in the master schedule affected the amount of hours per day that students are in ELA and math, which is a part of the school improvement. So I'm being told you don't get a say. I'm being told you don't get information. You don't need, and it's considered internal information. I asked for the presentation that was given during the meeting, during the open meeting, and the principal sent me an email saying that's considered internal documents and he doesn't have to share it. And I've sent a lot of emails that have just been ignored. So I'm staying procedural, I'm staying respectful, but I feel very sidelined. So those are my experiences. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I do want to definitely follow up. So I'm gonna, Elizabeth Honeycutt, we're definitely gonna follow up with you on that. And what school were you from?
Seville Middle School.
Seville Middle. Okay, perfect. I definitely want to follow up just to make sure I have the right, you have the right information. We can all get on the same page on that. But even just recently, the last legislative session, and I'm forgetting what bill it is, so forgive me, but they did just make some shifts to the SOT involvement. And so that's what makes it difficult too, is that we have the legislative piece of it that's kind of changing things. And then they change things one year and then we're like, okay, let's figure it out. And then we finally get the SOTs and everybody gets on the same page and then they change it again. So I think that's also what's going on with that situation. But as far as the budgets and losing positions, I know that's been a really, really hot topic and it's very hard to talk about. And it really just comes back to student enrollment, the decline in that enrollment. So, and it really goes back to like birth rates and where we are. And so just people aren't having as many kids as we used to. So even though when we see a development, especially in our area, I'm right down the street from Seville, we see a development coming in with 1,000 homes, and you're probably going to get maybe 3 high schoolers and like 9 elementary school students. So it's not a really big number, even with 1,000 houses. So
Yeah.
that's a difficult part about losing these positions. And it's, man, it's really hard to hear that we're losing, you said we're losing some art and some school monitors, and I think you said a counselor or somebody.
Yeah.
Like that.
Also, in addition to the lowering student numbers and enrollment numbers, the per pupil student funding went down from, I think, 6,300 per student to 5,400. So almost 10 years behind us, the per pupil student. So I'm really concerned why the per pupil student funding went so much far down, because that's totally something that I'm confused about.
You hit the nail on the head. So a lot of people are running for office. I would definitely recommend you talk to a lot of our people running for office, but we are behind in the curve as far as per student pupil funding. That means, how much each school receives per student. And so we are really behind the nation as far as that increase. So we really do need to increase that, and nobody wants to increase taxes or property taxes. So it just keeps getting pushed and pushed. But yeah, thank you so much, Elizabeth. We are in the last 9 minutes of our community meeting. But thank you so much, Elizabeth, for joining. And we will be following up with you on that. I did see there was a question submitted, possibly. Oh, 6:15. Okay, so we still got 15 minutes. We're still good. Okay, so I see some questions. Thank you, Mr. Custer, for asking these questions. How can we be moved more involved in the budget process when I totally relate the situation to Elizabeth had? One, I would definitely encourage you to join your SOT, your school's SOT, and also just, the principal is there to give you that information. And so go ahead, go to the principal, give them a call, send an email, and have that communication, have that relationship where you request to see the budget in that way. And then there's a lot of data also posted on ccsd.net for all our data for the schools and things like that. And then the next question I see is, Mr. Custer, the positive effect of later start times is diminished when school activities have to start in the morning. How can this be justified? When will the waivers for start times be announced? So I think the waivers you're talking about are things that are happening between the schools and the bus routes. So they won't know that really until August. And even then, I'm not sure that's kind of tentative. So to be announced for those time shifts. And then for the school activities, when I was discussing school activities, I meant the activities that started in the evening, the afternoon. Now they're going to be shifted to the morning. So now our kids won't be in the heat. So that's a good start off too. So we kind of shift one for the other on that one. And then I see we have okay. So I'm going to go back. We're going to round back out to Amanda Knowles. I see your hand is still up, so we'll go ahead and let you in. And Amanda, when you are available, you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
I just wanted to say I had a very similar experience with Elizabeth as well with my SOT last year, as far as your only option is to vote yes or no. And we ended up having one of the district higher ups come in and kind of hey, you can't do any of these budget things. These don't meet the statutes. And so because we had to go through that whole process, I was hoping that this year was going to be a little bit more, we'd have a little bit more say in the SOT, but got kind of similar feedback as far as that's not your job. Your job is to just vote yes or no.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. So it's, and I think it's so important to stay, these SOTs were developed to help I think Elizabeth had mentioned this about having more local control with our schools. And so the legislative gave a lot more power to those SOTs for a reason. And I think that should be still a thing that we do, and we give power to our SOTs. But it's really frustrating when we have the legislative, Carson City coming in and changing that over. And so I'm sorry to hear, Amanda, you also had the same experience. And I thank you for joining the SOT, which is like, I wish more parents would be involved and join the SOT. It's a lot of work, but I appreciate your work on that. And so please feel free to, what schools did you mention your kids were from?
This was at Lomi Hurd.
Okay.
I know some of the SOT boards at O'Callahan, where my middle schooler is at. And, I know some of the parents there, and I trust them to do their thing. So I stay on the elementary side.
Got it. Nice. Thank you. I know we did do a little bit of shifting too on our SOTs, like SOT guides and different things. But it is frustrating when it's like you're there for a vote and it's either yes or no. So I have a similar vote too. So that helps. I only get yes or no or abstain. So it's very frustrating. So, but I see our student wants to go ahead and jump in, Hayden.
I would just like to add something about the practices being before school instead of after school. As a student athlete and being in the middle of the desert, having practice before school is such a positive than having it after school and being in the heat of the day, because I feel like I work better in that different temperature, and I think it just works great.
No, thank you for that input. I think it's hard because it is a big shift for everybody. So it's definitely something that everybody's going to have to figure out. And I appreciate, again, our leadership being able to transition on that. And so we'll go ahead, and I see Michael Custer's in. Michael, did you still have any questions? I know you asked quite a few, and I wanted to get to more of these questions that we had. Michael, if you would like to jump in. Michael Custer, if you'd like to turn off your mic and jump in, we can.
Yeah, sorry, I was pushing the wrong spot on the screen multiple times. Anyway, so yeah, you kind of mentioned it, and it's concerning, but I guess reassuring to know that I'm not alone, because I'm on the SOT for my kids' high school as well, and it was the same kind of thing where we're going to talk about the budget next month. Okay, great. And then they talked through the budget at the meeting, and then, as the other two ladies said, up, down, vote, here we go. And so I get it. I'm not supposed to be the subject matter expert on how to run a high school. I get that. But at the same time, it would have been better to have a little bit more time to peruse it and just get a better sense of why they were doing what they were doing. Because you're there in the moment and you're telling me, we got to do this, we got to cut these people, we're not a Title I school anymore. Cool, get it, but give me time to process it, you know? So my question to you then is, you're talking about these legislative statutes. Is there anything that says about that, about how long we're supposed to have to review things like a budgetary item?
Thank you, Michael, again for being on the SOT. I think everybody's. I love all these parents' involvement in that. So that's a really big piece. Can I ask what school you're an SOT in?
Legacy High School.
Legacy, awesome. And so I would. I want to do a follow up with you, Michael Cluster, and we'll. I'm going to add that for the team here that I wanted to do a follow up with you, but I think that, one, the legislative piece is frustrating, and two, because they gave the SOTs power, and then 2 years later, no, I don't think 2 years, maybe 2 years later, they kind of moved it a little bit, and then the next time they moved it again. So it's just kind of frustrating when that kind of stuff happens, and that's one frustrating piece. And then two, I think you should be given all the information you need as a SOT to make the decisions you need to make to vote on. And so I'll definitely follow up with you on when you should be receiving the budget and, all the questions you should be asking on that. So it's kind of alarming that we have several parents that are saying the same thing. So I definitely want to follow up with our parents on that.
I appreciate that. And I get Hayden's point. Totally understand it, because my son's in the band. It sucked for them being out there in the late afternoons, but now we've decided to make the marching band an early bird class. So that's why I brought that up about, your point there as our trustee saying, well, the benefit is they're going to be able to show up at school later. Well, now my son's not going to be showing up at school later. He's going to be showing up at the exact same time and then staying later. So this benefit, quote unquote, of sleeping in later, that's going out the window for him because he's got to be at school at the same time he was coming to school anyway. So
No,
you're right there, but there is no perfect solution for everybody. I totally understand that. So I just, we're gonna have to adjust, a bunch of us, and we'll see how this goes. That's all we can do.
it is, and I know our student Hayden just shared that. But yeah, it's really frustrating, and it's like, you're either cooked and fried in our sun in our Las Vegas heat, or you get up a little early. So there's no perfect solution here for that, but I'm glad we're trying to accommodate everyone, and we're trying to be loose on trying to make decisions as we go through the year in these big shifts. So, and thank you for your involvement. So I'm going to go ahead and shift over. So there was a question here that I wanted to come on to. Let's see. So is there a way we can change the magnet lottery system to a regular system where siblings get automatic seniority? CCSD does try to keep siblings together when possible. Sibling preference applies when one student is already attending the magnet school and the sibling would be enrolled at the same time. Up to 25% available seats may be set aside when with sibling preference. Okay. I know that CCSD just try to keep the siblings together when possible, and it applies when one child is already attending the magnet school and the siblings would be enrolled at the same time. So I'm not sure if that question was if the student was not attending and then the other student wanted to attend. So, but they do try every attempt to keep students together. Sierra, do you have any, you have siblings, but are your siblings going to a CTA school?
Yes, I have an older brother who also attends Northwest.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I actually got in with the sibling priority.
Oh, got it. Okay. So what programs are your siblings in?
My older brother, he's in engineering.
Got it. Awesome. That is a cool way to go on that. And then I'm going to go ahead. I wanted to make sure I asked, there was a question that I wanted to ask our students before we end our time, which is, we still have time, but I wanted to ask. So I wanted to ask our students, as the time you've had in high school, in middle school, as you're thinking about your next step, as you're thinking about graduating, as you're thinking about, I know, Sierra, you still have a senior year, but as you think about your next steps when you leave CCSD, whatever industry you're going into, is there a teacher or an experience that maybe inspired you to go into that direction or to go into that area? Go ahead, Hayden.
Next year, I'm attending Northwest Career College in the dental assisting program. And what really inspired me to take this program was the anatomy class I took my junior year. It really got me into that field and wanting to explore more. And yeah.
Nice. Anatomy class. Cool. Sierra, go ahead.
For me, I'm going to college for a backup degree, but I want to go into the culinary industry, and my freshman and sophomore year sort of sparked that love for the industry that I have. And I really just ended up growing an interest in baking and pastry. So I'm going to pursue that as a career.
Awesome. And I know we just had a student who won the Gordon Ramsay award in Hell's Kitchen. Yeah, so that was awesome to see that she came from Northwest CTA, and the sky's the limit. So that program, so awesome. Go ahead, Peyton.
Next year, I'll be attending Northern Arizona University in the fall for a bachelor's in forestry, because I dream of being a park ranger, and I recently came about that my sophomore year of high school. By accident, we had lost our driver's education class, and it had temporarily been replaced with career education, which I was initially a bit skeptical about. And for a very long time, I was searching for a career in either environmental sustainability or law enforcement. And that is when I discovered not only the career of being a park ranger, specifically wilderness ranger, which is what I'm aiming for, but also the school that I'm going to that specializes their degree of forestry in ecological management and sustainable lumber production, as opposed to solely on lumber production. And I've always really enjoyed the outdoors. And I'm glad that that accident happened and brought that opportunity, but I kind of wish that class had come a little sooner in my life. And I hope that more children will have those opportunities to discover what they want to do with their future early on, so they can get their coursework on set with their goals and values for careers or post-secondary education.
That's awesome, Peyton. And I'll warn you for all the students is that there will be so many other experiences and so many other classes that you might even change direction completely. So just be waiting for that one. So that happens throughout life, is there will be an experience and you'll have to adjust, just like the time changes. And I see we still have Elizabeth that wants to ask a question. I want to join her. I want to make sure she has her question. Elizabeth, we're going to unlock you. You can unmute and go ahead and ask your question. And thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, I just wanted to say, for some reason, my daughter's name came through. I'm April Honeycutt. So yes, that's so for being able to follow up. Yes, thank you, everyone. And I really love all your comments. And I love that all of these students here you're just exceptional. Thanks for being here.
No, thanks for that clarification. We would have found you one way or another. But no, thank you. We'll make sure we get April Honeycutt and follow up with you on that. And this has been just extraordinary to see. And I really appreciate just even having the hard questions too, because I think people have been afraid to just go into that and saying, you know what, I might not have all the answers, but I definitely want to follow up with you. Or, we've looked at all of our options and maybe this isn't the option that's going to fit everybody, but this is the best option that we have. And so I appreciate having that. And one of the biggest things that we're really excited about is that we've been able to do just open this up to the community and to allow people to have this conversation with their trustee and to feel like they have a voice, because it's for a while now, a lot of people and a lot of parents like myself didn't feel like we had a voice. So I want to make sure that we all have a voice at the table, whether if it's our students, our parent SOTs, our staff, and even just community members that are just invested in our community and making sure that our students have a voice on this. So I'll go ahead and open it up to our students if you guys have any final words, but I've just been honored. This is my second community engagement meeting, and this was my first online one. And so thank you for adjusting to all the little nuances and doing this right after spring break. But I'll go ahead and open this up to our students. If you guys want to add a little thing to just even students out there right now that are out listening. We'll go ahead and I'll give you all a minute if you guys think about it, but I know you guys are so involved, and I know, maybe you didn't want to be involved, but I appreciated that somebody in your life, whether it was your parents, whether it was a teacher, a counselor, reached out and grabbed you and said, get involved. And so if we can all do that to our students and our colleagues, I think that's great that we can do that too. Hayden, I saw you were moving. I didn't know if you wanted to add to it. Okay. Awesome. And I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I think we're gonna maybe just close up. But I think this was a great Zoom engagement, and I really appreciate everybody joining us. And thank you so much, and thank you for just being brave enough to come on this with your fellow trustees. So thank you. You guys are welcome to do any last words if you'd like.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. This is definitely eye-opening, especially on the parent side, because I not very knowledgeable on the SOT side of it. So this was definitely cool to see different perspectives in play.
Nice, thank you. Go ahead, Hayden.
Yes, I would just like to say thank you so much for the opportunity, Trustee Dominguez, to let me come on this Google Meet and share my perspective and also be able to hear all of the parents. It really is eye-opening and amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Hayden, any last words there?
Again, thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate everyone's feedback. I'm glad to hear student perspectives, parent perspectives, even kids as young as third grade. It's really exciting to see, and it kind of brings me to my final message, which is advocacy. Start with yourself, and kind of like the bags on an airplane, help yourself to help others and help others too. Advocacy is a really big thing. If you see someone has potential, push them just a little bit. Make a better place, give everyone a better experience.
Thank you, Peyton, for that. I love your final words. And I see people in the chat. I saw Jose, thank you. Jan, is there going to be a different meeting to discuss special education later? Jan Corella, I would love to, I know we've ran out of time, but I would love to follow up with you. And if maybe we can have her email. I don't know how we can get her information, but okay, so we have your information. We can follow up with you. I definitely want to share that. And so you gave me a great plug to make sure to remind everybody about our special needs library at the PBS library. It is an exceptional library for special needs students, and you have a whole not only area that is for special needs students that has a specialized areas for soundproofing, but also a lot of great instructional learning and development available for free for the community for our students with special needs. So Jan will follow up with you on that one. And then we have, hopefully I'm pronouncing this, Sophia. Can we talk about magnet lottery next time? I definitely want to follow up with you and we can answer more. I know we've run out of time, but that gives me a great plug-in for this one, which is our school choice fair that is happening March 28th, this Saturday at Silverado High School. There is a lot for magnet schools and there's a lot of information out there for that. And so I definitely want to make sure we plug you in with that. The school choice fair is a great place to get information about all the things that CCSD does for our magnet schools and our CTAs. But it's very important to make sure to get onto the lottery and to make sure you understand the application times and where to apply and how to do that. So we definitely are going to follow up with you on those things. And I will turn around and thank you so much, Hayden, for joining us. I really appreciate you sharing. And Sierra, thank you so much for joining, and I appreciate you sharing. And Peyton, thank you so much for all your words, and I really appreciate all three of you, your contributions to our student body as a whole, at your schools, and even just at our clubs. And I look so forward to seeing Hayden and Peyton on the graduation stage. And so that is a really giant joy for me. And Sierra, I'll see you next year on that one. So thank you so much. And I hope you all have a great evening. And thank you for joining me since it's been after spring break. So thank you.